Hello everyone, it's Wednesday, May 12th, 2021, and that means it's time for the weekly report. For Randall Riley, I'm Joshua Miller. Before we jump into this week's report, I do want to cover a few things really quickly. For those of you watching us over on YouTube, if you look down in the description of the video, in addition to our usual newsletter sign up and weekly insight PDF download links, you'll find some timestamps for each section down there. You click it, takes you straight to it. Likewise, if you're watching over on our blog, you'll notice little chapter nodes or boxes right there in the play bar of the video. Each node marks the beginning of a new section, like This Week in Freight, Story of the Week, etc. We're always looking for new ways to make our content more useful and accessible to you, and it's our hope that by incorporating the timestamps over on YouTube and the chapter nodes on our blog video player, that'll assist you in getting the most out of our weekly report videos. One other thing I want to touch on before we begin, can't talk today, a brand new Digging Deeper into Driver Recruiting will debut with a live webinar viewing tomorrow. Dave and his guest Kyle Jernigan will cover 9 ways your fleet can recruit more drivers without spending more money. So I think it's a topic that many of you will find pretty interesting. Again, that viewing is tomorrow. That's Thursday, May 13th at 2 p.m. Central. This is a completely free video webinar, so I encourage you to check it out. If you'd like to watch, all you need to do is register. You can do so by clicking the link, again, down in the description on YouTube or in the body of our blog page. If you are watching on the blog, I'll also leave a link somewhere right up there. As a perk for joining us for the live viewing, not only will you get early access to the episode itself, but following the viewing, Dave and Kyle will have a live Q&A session to answer any questions you may have about the material they covered or just driver recruiting in general. The episode will be made available on YouTube and our blog a little bit later on, but the Q&A, that's exclusively for those who join for tomorrow's viewing. So please take advantage of that. Sign up and join us tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Central. Whew. Okay, I'm done with all the announcements, so let's get to why you're here. Let's get to the report. This week in job board searches and clicks, we saw an increase in click-through rate on truck driver postings on job boards as the search rate decreased and clicks increased. This now makes the 5th consecutive week that clicks have increased, suggesting that driver job search sentiment continues to grow and drivers are actively looking for new opportunities. Now, here's the actual numbers. Truck driver searches were down 8% week over week, but up 1% month over month and 13% year over year. For clicks on truck driver postings, we saw an increase of 8% week over week and 36% month over month, but a drop of 9% year over year. This week in freight, load postings in the truckstop.com system rose by 12%, setting another record high as all major haul segments saw increases to load postings week over week. Dry van was up 30%, refrigerated jumped up by 32%, and flatbed rose by 3% week over week. That also happens to be yet another record high for flatbed. That's the 10th time in 11 weeks for flatbed to set a record. Truck postings, however, decreased by 11%, with each segment declining in volume week over week. Dry van was down 10%, refrigerated dropped by 20%, and flatbed fell by 11% week over week. Spot rates were up by 9 cents per mile and set an all-time high for a 5th consecutive week. Dry van rates rose by 16 cents, refrigerated was up by 30 cents, and flatbed increased by 6.5 cents. Both refrigerated and flatbed rates are all-time highs, with dry van spot rates falling just short of its record high levels. A couple of things to note here. Load postings and rates in the truckstop.com system were already at record highs as we headed into one of the spot market's biggest annual stress events, the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance's International Road Check. That's a mouthful. The 3-day driver vehicle inspection spree occurred last week and resulted in a sharp increase of volume and rates as truck availability dropped. This led to records being set for loads, rates, and the ratio of loads to trucks. International Road Check has historically been one of the hottest weeks of the year for the spot market, as the event has typically seen drivers taking some time off. This tends to result in shippers and brokers seeing more capacity in the spot market. As a result, any week-over-week comparisons for this week are going to be disrupted. We can expect next week's comparisons to be a little off as well, as more trucks will likely become available again, thus decreasing the amount of freight moved via the spot market. And now for our story of the week. The April jobs report is out, and despite a clear demand for drivers, the gains continue to be slow. The number of jobs in truck transportation rose by 4,100 in April, or in a more statistical term, that equates to an increase of 0.3% as compared to March. On a seasonally adjusted basis, however, truck transportation actually lost 1,500 jobs. This can be slightly misleading because the lost jobs here are calculated based on the seasonal adjustment algorithm. According to that math, the industry was expected to create 5,600 jobs. So anything below that number registers as a decrease or job losses. Economists primarily focus on seasonal adjusted figures because truck employment has always tended to be cyclical, and it usually ends up adding jobs in the month of April. This usual seasonal pattern, however, may have shifted. So when you're talking about these numbers, you may want to take it with a grain of salt. One thing that is for sure is despite months of increased pay and the strongest freight market in recent memory, trucking employment continues to remain sluggish. Part of the issue here could tie back to the stimulus checks and increased unemployment payouts that we've mentioned here on the report a few times. Some states are even discussing requiring proof of job searches to maintain benefits. This could lead to a bump in driver interest. But if and when drivers do re-enter the workforce, fleets will need to have a plan for those drivers who may have been off the road for a year or more. And that's it for this week's report. Don't forget to register for that Digging Deeper viewing tomorrow and take advantage of those timestamps and chapter nodes for easier navigation within our video reports. If you enjoyed the report, do us a favor, share it. Over on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and click that bell so you get notifications when we post new content. If you're watching on our blog, there's a share button right there in the player. Until next Wednesday, have a great week, everybody.